if he pays attention to social media, for sure.
Yeah.
If he really looks into that, because me just casually browsing and coming across Yankee videos and
Mhm.
having Chisholm there, I'll see people commenting just saying, for example, shout out Nick Kurtz.
Yeah.
I'm wearing I'm repping Oakland A's,
Yeah.
obviously not in Oakland anymore, but he had one of the best hitting
Hmm.
performance, not just for a rookie, but hitter of all time
Yeah.
against the Astros this past week. And I can't tell you how many comments I saw saying, he just hit more home runs in one game than Jazz did in all of the home run derby.
Your ego, when you're someone as big as that, probably takes a big hit. You
For
know,
sure.
I think ego plays a big role for a lot of these big movie stars, and it's sometimes I would say their downfall to their career because it starts hitting more and more. And
Absolutely. Yeah, you sent me that video and I was insulted for Timmy. It was it was ridiculous. The run that he had with the Giants.
all right, welcome everybody to another episode of Banter on the Rocks. We got Tim here, John, another great fun episode. But before we get started, our first order of business, as always, is to discuss our brand ambassadorship. So we are brand ambassadors for Find the Good brand. Find the Good is focused on the good and building a community of people who want to help find the good. For all purchases, Find the Good gives back 10% to Mental Health of America organization. So when you order and use our promo code BANTER805, you will receive 10% off your purchase. So that's 10% for you, 10% back to mental health. And remember, use the code BANTER805 for 10% off. And the mission for Find the Good is simple. Find the Good is here to help you get through the bad days, the breakups, the ups and downs, and whatever else stands between you and a smile on your face. Today I'm rocking one of my Banter on the Rock shirts, or
Notice that. Looks
the
great.
Find the Good. It's nice. I like it because they're nice heavy cotton. There's not like, some of those other brands that are thin. You
Right.
could wear it once and then it's sort of done. This one, I've worn it a few times, so find a good brand. Good quality clothing.
Durable.
Yeah. But today is Monday, July 28th. And on today's show, we have some NBA talk. We'll talk some NBA. We have our banter takes as always, and then just, quite a few other topics that are come up. It's that slow time of the year, but we're getting close to our favorite time of the year of football. Um, so
Sweet.
we'll start getting close to talking a little bit about that. But to get started, we'll get started with our banter drinks of the week. And today I did something simple. I did a Jack and Coke. Uh, just didn't really have too much time. It's been busy. So I did a Jack and Coke.
Hey, it's the way to go. It's good stuff.
Uh,
Something quick. I did the same exact thing. Different twist on things. Did a
uh,
silver rum and then a strawberry lemonade mixed in it.
okay,
It's good,
nice.
refreshing. It got a lot hotter today. It's been really cold up here in NorCal.
Yeah,
Today decided, crank up the heat for sure. So
yeah.
something refreshing. Even had a power outage today. Glad it's back on.
Was the power outage due to the heat?
No, shout out PG&E. Just think it was just poor upkeep is my guess. I don't know. I've been in this area for about 2 years now,
Yeah.
and I think I've had over a dozen power outages in two
Oh,
years,
dang.
which I find
That seems like a
ridiculous.
lot. That's
That's
one a
pretty
month.
high.
That's one a month.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It feels that way too. Some are,
Uh,
anywhere from 20 minutes to other times it can be several hours. So
yeah,
luckily this one was pretty quick.
yeah. That's good. That's good. I know you said probably
Oh,
11, so I was like, ooh, that's a little late, but sometimes
oh
they're quicker.
yeah.
Sometimes they
Yeah,
take multiple days.
absolutely.
Yeah, but all
Oh,
right.
oh, oh.
But we'll get started as always with our banter takes, and we also go on our TikTok live, and with our banter takes, our banter takes. are where we each drop hot takes to each other that we haven't seen before. So we're going to defend them like they're gospel and let the chaos unfold. Some of these takes are very bold, some are outrageous, but all are guaranteed to stir up the pot until either proven right or very, very wrong, which we have been proved very, very wrong a few times. So
Yeah, we'll own
this
up
is
to
our
it though. That's the glorious part of it.
yes, but yeah, our banter take. So my first take, um, the New York Yankees need to be sellers this trade deadline. Um, yeah, I think with some of the news coming out of Yankee King camp, you could say, especially the Aaron Judge news, it might be a lost cause of a season. You know, if he's not ready to play immediately. From what I'm hearing, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong. Tommy John surgery,
Potentially, yeah. So
potentially.
maybe taking a backseat to a DH role, which
Hmm.
kind of Shohei route.
Yeah, so might take that Shohei route. We'll see how soon he could play, but the American League, they're stepping up. You know, Red Sox. I think Red Sox lost today. Um, they were on a good run. Yankees were a little bit on a downfall, but they're struggling everywhere. You know, I think if they're not gonna buy anybody soon, they might have to look at trading to build, maybe not for this year, but for next year, you know, because I don't know. This year seems like a very tough year. Um, like I said, I'll say the Dodgers got to win today, but before that All-Star break, I what was it? I think it was like 10 in a row we lost. Um,
Hmm.
but Yankees, I think it's time for them to clean house. They got to clean up with their coach as well. If you guys haven't seen his little interview, I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where he was
Hmm.
sort of, yeah, I'm not gonna say cussing out, but arguing with some other podcast hosts, you know, that were really Yankee related and Yankee fans. It's not a good look, you know, when you're defending all your plays when honestly you've made a lot of bad calls during the years, you know. You lost the World Series last year in an embarrassing way. So Yankees need a change, and I think it's good for them to sell. They got some good pieces to get something back. But yeah, I like I say, I don't watch too much Yankee baseball just because I'm not a big Yankee fan. I'll wear their hat just because it's iconic. It's a nice color. Um, but what do you think, Tim, about the Yankees?
Well said. No, you had great knowledge there, John. You're certainly up to date on Yankee baseball as far as I'm concerned. You said the right things, starting with Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge's injury, obviously, it's putting him on the injured list at the moment.
Hmm.
But how big of a bat he has, the Yankees kind of struggle, kind of without him, especially
Yeah.
defensively. And, there's been a number of injuries. Anthony Volpe, has
Yeah.
been just terrible fielding wise this year. And they've made the recent addition of McMahon there on
Hmm.
third base. That was a pleasant addition for them. But quite frankly, I agree with you with this take. I think that's where the buck needs to stop. We don't often see, at least in recent memory, for sure, any type of Yankee rebuild. But I
Yeah.
think it's something that at this point they should kind of strongly consider. I don't think they're
Hmm.
going to make a run at anything this year. Um, Especially with Judge's injury. Let's see how bad it is. I think his words were, "It could have been worse." I mean, sure, but at the
Yeah.
same time, UCL injury. He's a valuable outfielder for them. He has a very strong arm in right field. He could be a big benefit, but Toronto's playing really well in that
Hmm.
division. The Red Sox are still hanging in there with things. Surprisingly, they've, really been performing well. And, but not only that, you have the AL West with, that's continuing to play well. You have the Central. Central's a little bit more of a mix at the moment, especially with the Cleveland Guardians having their closer now be involved in some gambling issues. We'll maybe get to that later, but I just don't feel like it's really a year for them to be competitive, and I think a reset is necessary because they have great assets there to kind of make things
Hmm.
happen. I think a guy like Stanton
Yeah.
it's a good trade now time. to be
Hmm.
honest with you. Send him to a contender, somebody who really needs a big bat. Giants out west could use one, quite frankly. We can't hit worth a damn sometimes. But a number of teams I'm sure would be willing to
Hmm.
take on like a guy like Stanton. So I just think that there's opportune time for him to do that. I think that this
Hmm.
Judge injury really does change quite a bit. I know he's hitting, but
Yeah.
still, injury's an injury. It changes things. Then you're asking Stanton to take an outfield spot,
Yeah.
and that dude's injured a zillion times a year too. So, he'd be more valuable going to a spot where he can permanently be cemented as a DH. But you brought up great points, Sean. I think that this take is spot on. I I,
Hmm.
I do think that they need to be sellers now. Do I think they will be? No, probably because Aaron Boone is probably fighting for his job
Yeah.
and wants to win, so he's going to do everything he can to do so.
Yeah, yeah, and Stanton, like I say, I haven't heard of from him much this year. I don't hear his name much with the Yankees. I don't know. Like I say, you might hear differently, but he's struggling, and now if he has to perform defensively, let's see if he still has the legs under him to be able to do what Judge does. If he has that arm, because he hasn't been throwing the way, from that outfield much. And you mentioned another one, and I remember seeing a post about Volpe of being one of the worst defensive players at his position, I think, ranked this year in the MLB, which it's not a good sign for Yankees fans and a Yankee player being that low when you guys are, trying to fight for that hunt for the World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, Volpe really underwhelming. There
Yeah.
was a lot of hype around him. He's a local kid from
Hmm.
New York, and yeah, he's hitting 213, only 14 home runs in a very hitter-friendly park.
Yeah.
You'd expect a lot more, especially from the shortstop position with the Yankees. A lot of history there. Um, Yeah, that's just a big disappointment. Jazz Chisholm, he showed glimpses, but
Yeah.
he just doesn't hit for average. It's
Yeah.
you run into a lot of issues there. Same thing with Bellinger.
Yeah.
He'll have great games every once in a while and then kind of hit the
He
brakes.
he's
So
he's a wave, Bellinger. That's the way he was with the Dodgers. Like he had his run of great games where you're like, oh, he's finally gonna do amazing. He's gonna be that player that we expected. And then he just has a downfall for, a good 2, 3 series. And then he comes back up and
yep.
playoffs, it's the same. He has one good series and then a bad one. And, the way I think the playoffs are gonna be this year, you need him to be good every single series. So it'll be interesting. And question with Jazz Chisholm. We talked
Hmm.
about it during the All-Star week about participating in Home Run Derby probably might affect you a bit. He had a horrible showing at the Home Run Derby. Do
Yeah.
you think it's getting to his mind? Because he still seems like he's struggling a bit.
If he pays attention to social media, for sure. If
Yeah.
he really looks into that, because me just casually browsing and coming across Yankee videos and
Hmm.
having Chisholm there, I'll see people commenting just saying, for example, shout out Nick Kurtz.
Yeah.
I'm repping Oakland A's,
Yeah.
obviously not in Oakland anymore, but he had one of the best hitting
Hmm.
performance, not just for a rookie, but hitter of all time
Yeah.
against the Astros this past week. And I can't tell you how many comments I saw saying, he just hit more home runs in one game than Jazz did in all of the home run derby. I think he had a
Oh
total
man,
of
that's
three, and
yeah.
Nick had 4 home runs in that one game. So, and that was, like I said, a number of
Hmm.
comments. So if he pays attention to that stuff, I guarantee you his DMs are filled with it. So
Hmm.
I'm sure it does get to him. I'm sure it can be frustrating. He's a
Uh,
player that really shows his emotion on the field. That's for sure.
yeah.
I like his play. I think he's very entertaining. He plays a variety of positions. He's a fun player. I think he's good for the Big Apple. But
Yeah.
he's a streaky hitter as well, though.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's where it gets tough, I think, in baseball. You need that consistency, especially the second half of the season. So we'll see how they do. I think they should be sellers. I think, Boone. I think Boone just they need to move on. He is coaching for his next job. But I think the Yankees need just a rebuild, like a mini rebuild. Get rid of some of these assets that you could flip for something that might help you more next year and sort of prep for next year. Because right now, I don't know. Astros are looking pretty solid. That's a scary team in the
Hmm.
AL. Um,
Detroit obviously
Detroit,
performing super well.
Scubal, yeah,
Um, like I said, Red Sox hanging in
or,
there.
mhm.
Toronto's really good. I don't
Toronto,
think Toronto's going to let up that first place spot in the East.
yeah,
Guardians, let's see how they do after today. They're below 500 at the
yeah,
moment. Um, besides that, Mariners are very good. Cal Raleigh's on another tear.
yeah,
Um, and then the Rangers. There's
yeah,
three teams out west over 500. So
yeah.
all of those teams, when it comes to wild card positioning,
It's gonna be tough.
very well may have, yeah, the upper hand
Yeah,
against the Yankees. Let's see.
yeah. So we'll see, but yeah. And then another baseball question because I saw this also, and you sort of mentioned you guys need some bat support, but Rafael Devers, I read somewhere that once Devers left the Red Sox started winning and Giants started losing because before Devers got to the Giants, you guys were on a good streak, still inconsistent hitting, but winning games when needed. How 2 months in already, I think, how do you feel about this Devers trade for your Giants?
I still like it. And the reason why I'm not like, that concerned with, Devers joining us is, he's still playing,
Hmm.
pretty well. He had a good game against Atlanta not too long ago, but overall, this is Giants baseball. We
Hmm.
hit these spurts where we can beat teams that are extremely good, but we lose to all the bad teams.
Yeah.
For example, today we just lost to the Pirates, not a good team, and we just can't really. I mean, yeah, we've scored a whopping 5 runs today, but
Hmm.
run support is just a total issue, and that it's hard to pinpoint on one player. I
Hmm.
think that they need to build around Devers. I was really hoping we'd be more of a buyer this trade deadline. Obviously,
Hmm.
the time is kind of dwindling down here a
Yeah.
bit. Let's see what happens. I trust Buster Posey, of course, but I don't. I'm not a full buyer on that concept. But you know, behind the scenes, maybe something is going on with
Hmm.
the
Devers.
locker room.
Hmm.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Is there anything that you've read into that?
No, not much. Like I say, I know Devers. I know from the past because, like I say, know Red Sox baseball a bit because of the family I married into, big Red
Mhm.
Sox fan. So Devers was always one of those big players, great player that, hit the ball, and when he got traded to the Giants, I know a lot of Red Sox fans were a bit angry because he was having a great run before that trade. They were winning still. So I'm just curious because I do see Giants losing a bit more. You know, I think the standings are still pretty close, but it's gonna start getting tighter. Um, so just curious on your take, as a Giant fan, how you're feeling about it.
Yeah, I just think I'm used to it.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's just
ever
life.
since our yeah, ever since our phenomenal decade in the 2010s,
Uh,
it's just, a lot of flip-flopping,
mhm.
a lot of, you know, beat good teams, lose to bad ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, that's my thoughts with the Yankees. I think they should be traders, and but we'll see. You know, they don't like to listen to us when we make a lot of good points.
Yeah, for sure. All right, got my take here from John. Is Justin Timberlake losing his shine? After a recent concert, fans claim he had the crowd sing most of the songs. Is it nostalgia or is he phoning it in? Yeah, I saw a ton of clips on this past week, and personally, I'd be kind of like pissed if I'm going to a concert and I'm listening to fans sing more than the singer himself. I don't know what's going on. Is he bored of his music because he's not really coming out with a lot of new stuff? It's
Hmm.
obviously just all of his hits on repeat. pay props to him that he's even touring at this point. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you know, he just didn't seem like he wanted to be there at all. It was just like one of those things like
Mhm.
he could sleep in this, hold out the mic and say, "Hey, do my job." I don't know how anybody would find interest in that, and clearly a lot of fans aren't. But at the same time, yeah, I feel
Mhm.
like he's probably I don't know his exact like tour timeline, but I
Mhm.
want to say he's been on tour for quite a while. I know he was
Yeah.
at some concerts here in the Napa Valley NorCal Concert Fest. He was here for that. Seemed like a good show at that time, but I'm
Mhm.
sure he's just reaching a point he's where he's just tired. He's
Yeah.
run down, he's worn out. I don't think um he's probably just bored. He's bored of like
Mhm.
repeating these songs. Like even Backstreet Boys in Sync, when they go on tour or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like, man, do they ever get bored of just those same hits over and over again? I'm sure it's a
Mhm.
you know a
Yeah.
good vibe going out there in front of a big crowd. Um, but at the same time, it's like, you know, yeah, like how into it are they? But at the same
Mhm.
time, they need to commit to it. It's like if you're
Yeah.
gonna go on a tour, you need to perform because
Yeah.
that's some BS. Like I said, I'd be pissed if I spent, let's say, I don't know, $300 on floor seats. I wouldn't be caught doing that for JT. No, no offense, JT. You've had good songs here and there, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bummer. You take all that time and money to do that, and
Mhm.
you're sing for me. I think that's kind
Yeah.
of garbage. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same. It's like, I know it might get a little boring singing songs from, I don't even know how long ago. I feel like I was at elementary school when his songs were coming out.
Yeah.
But I think I was more middle school, high school. But and it shows how old I am. But it's like you commit to it. You're getting paid millions of dollars to do this tour and you're phoning it in. You're doing that. And I'm like, it's not a good look. Backstreet Boys are doing their residency right now in Las Vegas at the
Hmm.
Sphere, and they're putting everything into it because they know it's a lot of money. And even if they're so bored with the songs, it's like you got to be making income some way, and that's how they're doing it. So what's going on with JT? It's interesting. I know he's had a tough like 2 years. I don't know if you remember. I think it was like 2024. He got caught for a DWI, sort of didn't want to do the breathalyzer,
In the
got his license
Hamptons, right?
in the Hamptons, I think, somewhere in New
Yep.
York, so I think his license got suspended. So that's already a big downfall. I read somewhere that in England he was like screaming at like crew members and it was all recorded like on
Hmm.
TikTok. So it's like he's just not having good things happening. There's a lot of backlash to him, his behavior, which isn't typical Justin Timberlake stuff. And who I'm trying to put it all together of like when all this Britney Spears like news came out, like if it was all, you know, in conjunction when that started happening, his like little erratic behaviors, because
Hmm.
there was a lot that came out over that stuff, which I think there was a lot of people concerned, not happy with him. So him doing this, it's unfortunate as a fan. I know if like I would have gone with Vera, I would have been a little pissed that he made me sing when I suck at singing. We're here to
Yeah.
see, we're here to watch you um do your thing. This is what you're getting paid for. This is what we're paying, three to whatever amount of money for these tickets. So, but yeah, I saw, I was just curious, like, what is it? And especially not singing, it just doesn't make sense.
No, not at all. Like I said, he seems bored. He seems almost distracted. I don't know what is like a good way to,
Hmm.
kind of say, I haven't seen anything follow-up wise. Has he
No,
released a statement with the backlash? No, I doubt he will
no,
either at
no.
this point. It kind of led me to another question where, we saw a good run of acting from JT and he
Hmm.
had, a few good movies come out. Do you feel like he'll ever step back into an acting role if he's getting bored with music, clearly?
Um, I think he might still want to do that because acting is a little different than music. It's not the same repetition.
Hmm.
Now will he go back and do another what's he in? The Trolls movie. Who knows? Because that singing, the last Troll movie was sort of the boy band piece. I think all of NSYNC was part of it. Um,
Hmm.
but like I say, but the behaviors he's showing, how many people are gonna hire him is gonna be the big question.
Yeah.
Is he gonna put everything into whatever role he's fighting for? If someone hires him to do a movie role, is he going to put everything in it? And are you risking a bad performance and then pretty much just not even putting out a movie because it sucks?
True. Yeah. He could play a singer facing backlash and he has to make a comeback tour to like win over his fans again.
Yeah.
Not saying one incident will cause that, but clearly you named a number
Uh,
of other ones that, were a cause of concern. And then, you know what? It kind of, I was gonna, I didn't want to interrupt you when you were going over the
mhm.
DWI thing, but the cop who pulled him over didn't even know who he was. And I wonder if that has um, the biggest stab in the heart for him.
It might, because when you're a big celebrity and someone really doesn't know you, your ego, when you're someone as big as that, probably takes a big hit. You
For
know,
sure.
I think ego plays a big role for a lot of these big movie stars, and it's sometimes I would say their downfall to their career because it starts hitting more and more. And hey, you got to be, you got to understand, not many people are gonna know you. It's all the more older crowd that knows Justin Timberlake. These 16, 17-year olds, they're like, this is classic rock. This is classic pop to them. It's not pop
Hmm.
anymore. It's not boy bands.
Exactly.
It's crazy because I think about it like with the one post of Tim Lincecum I sent you, where these,
Yeah,
kids that are trying to be pro baseball players. Nobody knew who Tim Lincecum was, and hey, you need to go pro, you need to know a lot of players, and Tim Lincecum was one of those players that you should know who he is.
absolutely. Yeah, you sent me that video and I was insulted for Timmy. It was it was ridiculous. The run that he had with the Giants,
Hmm.
and just, the incredible pitching that he,
Oh,
gave the Giants for years and years.
oh,
And just even the way he pitched, it was kind of new where,
yeah.
or maybe not new, but it was different where, he's turning his whole body and then putting as much force. He's not a big framed guy, but he's still throwing upper 90s, in his
Hmm.
prime. He was just an absolute beast. And of course, the hair, that was a big thing for him. Um, he was an all-time vibes guy. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I agree with you. There's a certain extent of players that you should definitely recognize. Timmy's definitely one of them.
Hmm.
And that's definitely necessary. And another celebrity that you bring up the thing about if they're not recognized, it can be kind of an issue to them. I
Yeah.
always think of Jennifer Lopez for that because I saw a clip maybe about a month and a half ago where somebody's interviewing her and was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And then she's like, she like paused or something, and just her reaction was like, she was completely offended. And she's like, uh, "Jennifer Lopez." And then he
That's
continued on
hilarious.
like he just didn't care, and I loved it. I loved every second of it because it's
That's
like
funny.
at times they need to be put in their spot. Like it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, you're well known, you're a celebrity, same time, don't lose your human charisma.
Yeah.
It's you can never be too big. So, I always think of J Lo for that. I thought that
That's
was
funny.
hilarious. Yeah.
I could see her reacting to that so offensively. And like I say, for some of these people, they take it so serious that it affects their week, almost like how our banter takes on certain teams sometimes affect some of these fans for weeks. We're living rent free
Hmm.
in their head. That's what these people are doing to some of these celebrities, living rent free when we don't even know you, and it's not a big deal to us. We just say something to mess with you guys. That's what it is about now. So, um, yeah, we'll see. Um, it's crazy though. Like I say, hopefully nothing's wrong with JT. Hopefully it's just a little thing he's gonna recover from because he was cool. I liked him as an actor. The Trolls movie,
Yeah.
my kiddo loves the songs. What's the one movie? The Love Guru? The one with Um, Austin Powers guy, Michael Myers,
Uh, yeah, I think
where
so.
he's the hockey player. Do you remember that one?
Uh, maybe not.
No.
I don't know. I always think of The Social Network and his role in
Yeah,
that.
that one too.
Um,
But yeah, Love Guru was a dumb movie, but just funny for me.
just classic.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, it's, always going back to this. Oh yeah, the Love Guru. Okay. Yeah, when
mhm,
Michael Myers had the crazy hair.
yeah,
Yep. Um, yeah, it always sparks my curiosity. If one thing's
yeah,
not going right, maybe he'll go back to acting.
yeah, yeah. We'll see. All right, my next take. With growing number of players gambling suspensions, umpires and referees also need to be investigated. Just, just as vigorously. Yeah, I
Sorry if
think
I
it
butchered
re
the verbiage.
no. It's just my tongue tied. It always happens. Yeah, I think everybody needs to be investigated a little bit, and honestly, all these accounts need to sort of start being seen by these commissioners, these leagues, because some of the calls we see in sports, not just football, baseball, we don't understand them. I think it was. I don't know if you sent me the video or it's just a video I saw, but it was like a few weeks ago, and I think it was on a Giant game where some of the calls were just blatantly like bad, where it was like
Yeah.
outside of the box, still called a strike, and when it was inside the box, it was a ball. And it's
Yep.
like, what is going on? If that is the case with baseball, go to computer umps, where you're gonna get a lot
Yep.
more accuracy. And it's like, are these umps rigging the game to help another team win? Baseball or basketball, we see it with the refs, calls, no calls, quick texts, technical fouls. Like, what's that for? Getting these players out. We saw a lot of that this year. I think these refs so happy with their power. And is it really happy with power? Or is it gambling? Because I think it's a surprising amount of players that were suspended for gambling, and wasn't it who was it in the NBA that got indefinitely suspended for life? Wasn't it
Porter. Right?
Kevin, not Kevin Porter, right?
It was
No.
Michael Porter Jr.'s brother,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, all effort on that name,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like, we never saw this news as much. Um, let's go to Shohei a little bit. Shohei wasn't caught, but his interpreter was caught gambling a lot on games, which
Hmm.
it's illegal because he is part of the league as an interpreter, and there's still a lot of questions of who actually did it. Not Shohei. It's
Yeah.
not Shohei, Tim. Okay, let's get that correct. I'm clearing
It
the
could never
rumor here.
be.
It can never be Shohei, but
No.
there are the rumors. But like I say, it's happening everywhere. Soccer, tennis, like you could see it. So it needs to be it needs to come down more, a little bit stricter and checked in more, because gambling's also up upcoming to even more money, because everyone's gambling now in every state, um, with either sports betting or even daily fantasy type gambling. So it needs to be looked at really closely. Like I said, I enjoy doing it. I don't do it as much as these players do, or high amounts as these players do, but it could make a difference if you know who's going to win and who isn't.
Yeah, but it's just like a crazy fumbling of a bag. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, are you not making enough?
Yeah.
Just like what is a $15,000 parlay? I'm throwing a random number gonna do for you in comparison to your millions you're making on the
Hmm.
field, the court? Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was Jonte Porter,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Yeah.
it's just I don't I just don't understand
Hmm.
it. And then going to the Shohei Ohtani thing, most recent suspension was Emmanuel Clase as of today,
Okay.
suspended. While they further investigate, some of, I guess, prop bets surrounding him, and
Hmm.
the first pitch.
Yeah.
I guess like they ruled that a certain number of them were non-competitive
Yeah.
throws,
Like 13, I
and
think it was.
it
Something
was
like that.
13, something like,
Out of like
exactly.
22. Yeah.
Right. You know, hopefully they find nothing because we don't ever really want to see this stuff.
Yeah.
He's a valuable part of the Cleveland Guardians.
Hmm.
He's a great closer. But it's just it's crazy how they kind of get themselves into these positions. But I saw a funny comment where somebody's saying, "Oh, it's okay. Emmanuel Clase just needs to blame it on his interpreter, and he's golden. He'll be good." So,
Yeah.
take the same route.
They're taking too many shots
Clearly
as of us.
speculation. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Of course, Otani's going to get, more speculation because of how
Yeah.
good he is. But I just thought it was funny nonetheless. But yeah, it's a growing issue, and umpires, refs really do need to be held more accountable.
Hmm.
It's we go back to Tim Donaghy, and in his suspension back in the
Yeah.
day with the NBA, that made huge headlines at that point in time. Obviously, we have guys like Pete Rose being banned from the Hall of Fame,
Hmm.
all the way through until his passing. And it's just it puts a big eyesore on the sport, and it's a
Yeah.
bummer. Um, and it leads me back to a question. I certainly have a follow-up question for you this
Hmm.
on this, John, because I know, you do, daily fantasy, prop bet, stuff like that.
Hmm.
As far as prop bets go in particular, though, John,
Hmm.
do you feel like they need to ban prop bets if we
Um,
continue to see this?
if we continue to see it, I think we may have to. And I hate to say it because, like I say, it's the only thing I enjoy here in California because we don't have sports betting. But I think if they feel like it's becoming an issue, and it is becoming an issue, it has to because it's losing people money, it's winning people money, and it's sort of ruining the system. And they should just make sports betting legal in every single state. But I think it would have to get eliminated, in some way. Maybe do it a different way, but it was sort of going to be another follow-up question for you as well. Is like, we talked about it during the NBA season. There were a lot of times that some players were like so close to their bet, their prop bet of like points, rebounds, whatever it was, and they were taken out so early, and we were like NBA called, Las Vegas called to tell I think it was a few Clipper games where Las Vegas called, Ty Lue like, hey, pull Harden out, pull this person out. He can't score because all the money was on him, hitting his points, and it's sort of like maybe there needs to be like a league or like an association overseeing all sports betting and making sure everything's legal, like getting like all the transcripts, getting access to all phone calls, things like that. Because, like I say, sometimes is it Las Vegas rigging everything and giving these teams like, hey, do this game, we'll throw you, we Las Vegas probably makes like millions off of one game, we'll throw you a bit of it, 10%. Hey, for a team like, the Oakland A's when they weren't big or going to Las Vegas, that's a lot of money for them. It's a lot of money for the owner.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, in that's probably literally gambling like this is the only thing keeping Vegas afloat at this point, I'd say. Because
Mhm.
our take still lives where
Yeah,
Vegas is on the downfall.
it is.
Um, but you never know. I'm sure there is big players behind all this.
Hmm.
You can be a conspiracy theorist or not, but it's just odd things happen in games where players start not playing as well, get taken out
Hmm.
too early. There's questionable coaching decisions at times. Referees all of a sudden start
Hmm.
calling a certain type of, a foul in a game that they didn't call
Yeah.
the whole game. Umpires, you brought up a great example
Hmm.
where some teams are getting the outside strike call, other teams are not. And,
Yeah.
they're compressing the strike, the strike zone completely.
Yeah.
And we see it all too often. I feel like robotic umpires at this point
Could
sounds a
be
bit better in
the
my
way.
opinion. Yeah, because then we can kind of treat it, like tennis, where you
Yeah.
get a replay, and you know, honestly, it just creates a little bit better competition. Now, At times, yeah, it's hard to judge a pitch call when they're throwing
Hmm.
upper 90s, to around 100 plus miles an hour, and you have that split second to call it a ball or a strike. But
Yeah.
there's, consistency is a big key. And if they're pros, they need to be able to do that and make those right calls. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it definitely needs to be looked more into. It doesn't just stop at the players.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so we'll see. I think there has to be a lot more investigation, you know, protocols and just eyes on this because who knows who's sort of cheating the system to help them win the games, help them profit. And like you mentioned, these NBA players that do it and are getting caught, it's dumb because they make all the money. Now umpires, refs, they don't make the millions that players do. So I might get why they probably do it a little bit more because it could be financially lucrative and sets up their families. But like I say, you get caught, you go to court, you got to return all that money. So it's
Yep.
it's a risk that I don't think it should be worth it. But that's my thought.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. There's
Yeah.
players that are up for or due for big contracts and they
Hmm.
fumble it away with this. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. But sports betting always interesting. Hopefully California doesn't ban the daily play, but sounding like they might.
Very well could. Alrighty. Moving right along. The MLS All-Star game came and went without Messi. He skipped the event and now faced a one-game suspension per league rules. But here's the real question. Is enforcing that rule worth risking future interest from big name players coming to the US? We are a podcast that absolutely craps on all-star games. So, we talked about it this past week with the MLB All-Star game.
Hmm.
You have Phillies pitchers declining,
Yep.
which brings up a kid like Mizorowski getting
Hmm.
the opportunity to join the All-Star game. Um, we're seeing it in other sports as well. LeBron famously did it recently,
Hmm.
and here we are with Messi. But none of those players were issued a suspension in a league that is in, I'll call it desperate to make moves to
Hmm.
gain popularity with a sport that they really want to grow in the US. This is not the way to do it because,
Yeah.
one game suspension, I don't know if it's with or without pay.
Hmm.
Regardless, though, it's just a game where, you know, Miami FC, it's Miami FC, correct?
Yeah.
I'm not butchering
Yeah.
that. Okay. Miami FC, if he's not on the field, it's kind of like the Caitlin Clark effect. It's
Hmm.
like you're going to see a huge drop in fans having any interest in watching that particular game that he's suspended for. I did hear about this and Messi was clearly infuriated by this, which
Hmm.
I completely wholeheartedly agree with because it's complete BS. Yeah, you're trying to grow the sport, but I feel like all-star games at this point aren't the way to do it. Like I just feel like,
Hmm.
and I'll speak for myself, but I know that you have similar feelings. Just all-star games are just they lack the pizzazz they used to have. It's
Yep.
just that's not the way you grow the sport. You grow the sport through competition, competitiveness, having bigger names join. Ronaldo is a big name that they'd
Yeah.
probably want in the future. You could name a zillion other players that you'd love to have come over here, but suspending because of an all-star game,
Yeah.
quite frankly, I didn't even know it was all-star season for the MLS. And I tried to pay attention to it, but it's like, even for the casual fan,
Yeah.
it's like, man, yeah, there's going to be more opportune time watching Messi in a normal game or in the
Hmm.
playoffs, or a league-ending, tournament. It's
Yeah.
more worth their time. Um, yeah, MLS kind of fix that because other sports aren't doing that, even realizing how lousy the All-Star game is. And I think they need to do that also.
Yeah. It's crazy when I heard it and hearing how upset Messi was that he was missing a game for that. I was like, MLS, you guys got to do better because you lose Messi, you're losing a good percentage of viewership. A lot of people have tuned into MLS a little bit more because Messi. It's that Caitlin, like you mentioned, the Caitlin Clark effect. There's a Messi effect. Soccer, I think, is building in the States, but like I say, it started with Messi. That's why these expansion teams
Mhm.
are happening. San Diego, they have their stars there that it went. Not as big as Messi, but still popular. But like I say, if Messi's not playing, and if Messi decides to leave, like that's not a good look because it's not gonna want to bring other big players. Ronaldo signed his deal again in Saudi for millions of dollars every minute, so
Mhm.
that guy's just here for the paycheck. Um, but there's a lot of players who are getting close to, so you could call it retiring from the European, leagues, the Spanish league, the EPL, Italy, and a good place for them to come make decent money, be popular is the States. But if they're going to be doing this stuff of suspending star players for missing an all-star game, even if it isn't with, enough notice, like it's the dumbest thing. And right before the World Cup too. It's not a good look for us right before a year before the World Cup. World Cup talk is coming and this isn't going to be good if Messi's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to retire, go back to Spain or Argentina.
For sure. And then with a guy like Messi, you're technically blessed to have him even grace the fields of the MLS.
Hmm.
Like to get a guy like that angry, how does the MLS even try winning him back over? I the dude has like infinite money at this point,
Yeah.
infinite popularity. I, you just
Yeah.
they just need to own up to it being a stupid decision. Yeah, it's only for a game, but just the formality behind it
Yeah.
all is utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of these sports just need to stop focusing on all-star games.
Hmm.
There's just nothing nothing really comes about it anymore. It's
No.
just boring, it's bland, it's dry.
Yeah.
Cancel the Pro Bowl, just make it an award show.
Yeah.
I don't know. This it's what they need to do at this point.
Yeah.
Still honor all-stars and Pro Bowlers and
Yeah.
MLS all-stars, but just don't make them play.
Yeah.
Give them an award and call it a day. I don't
Yeah.
know. An
Give them a
accolade.
break. Give them a break that they deserve. It's All-Star break. Make it a break. Don't make it a game. Don't make them work because a lot of them, I think a lot of people are seeing that it's not really worth it, what they're making. The money really isn't there for All-Star Week. It's extra time from resting your body, and getting ready for the second half of the season. Because soccer, it's 90 minutes, and like you mentioned, Messi's not a young guy. He's an older guy, but when he plays, he's still fantastic. And he needs more
Yep.
rest. He needs more just time to recover his body and playing in an all-star game that means absolutely nothing for Miami when his goal is probably winning a championship for Miami. He's not going to sign up for it. Some of these players don't
Mhm.
really care about it. So it it's crazy that MLS did this. How do you think it would go if this was, say, NBA or MLB?
Oof. Yeah, there'd be a ton of backlash. Like, let's just say LeBron, because he actually showed up and took a spot away from somebody else and then says no and then gets suspended. Yeah. And can you imagine, I guess, the news around that? That would be
Hmm.
pretty drastic and crazy. LeBron might be okay with it because he wants a full month off.
Yeah.
So, an extra game might be pretty sweet for him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, as a league, like, do you really want to do
Hmm.
this?
Yeah.
I know that they have to uphold rules if this rule has been written in a long time ago, and
Yeah.
clearly it's time to update it. I wouldn't be surprised if they are,
Change it.
doing that as
Yeah.
we speak,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. He's the last player that you want to get upset with. But other sports, there would certainly be a ton of backlash,
Hmm.
especially, because if you pinpoint it, Messi is the Aaron Judge of baseball, the LeBron
Hmm.
or Curry of the NBA.
Yeah.
It's you suspend your superstar for something so stupid.
Yeah. It's
That's again.
crazy. Yeah. They need to get it together. And like I said, this is right before leading up to the World Cup. We lose Messi this next year. It's not a good look for us as the United States hosting World Cup with all the drama already behind the World Cup coming to the United States. Um, this is just another another bad thing for us. So let's see what happens. Like I said, I hope Messi stays. I think he just done well here. He's done well to bring eyes to the MLS. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sure he's like in Miami. I've never been to
Yeah.
Miami, but you know, it's
Yeah.
nice, pretty nice year round
Yeah.
winter, when
Yeah.
they are playing now. It's good.
Yeah.
Summer into
Yeah.
summer. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, they just really need to redo that rule. I think that's complete
hmm
BS. God, but just even thinking about it, like I just can't imagine as a league if you have a guy like Messi pissed off with you. It's like, man, what am I gonna
Well,
do?
you got to give him
Oh,
you got to create a brand new team and just give it to him for free,
yeah, absolutely.
just to make him happy.
Here you go. So sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
let
crazy.
him sort his own thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, but those are our banter takes. As always, agree or disagree. Let us know in the comments what you guys think, your thoughts on these banter takes. But we'll continue and we'll go into some NBA talk. And one of the first things this week we had a commenter, with one of our NBA clips for last week where we were discussing either or um, sort of said that we are the reason for NBA's decline. And first, I want to tell that commenter, thank you for thinking we're really making that much of a difference. It makes us feel great that you think we are a big
Yeah.
part of why NBA is declining
Step
because,
aside, LeBron. It's
yeah.
not flopping.
Yeah,
It's
it's not,
us.
yeah, it's us. Stephen A. Smith, be careful. We're coming for your job. We're coming
Yeah.
for that job because we're making a difference per this commenter.
Yep.
But he said it's because we reminisce on championship runs, and which one was better than others rather than focusing on current news. And when I saw it, like I said, I'm flattered that he thought we were that big of difference makers. I appreciate it because at times I think we see some of our takes that we talk about Monday showing up on Wednesday before our show even comes out. So, or even
Hmm.
after our show comes out, and it's like, hey, where's our credit? We talked about this way before you guys
Oh yeah.
did. Um, but why are we going to talk about current news when some of the current news is so boring? It just is a snooze fest.
Yeah, totally. And that's kind of the response, I had for him was,
Mhm.
it's mid-July, late July
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
Like not a whole lot's going on in
no,
sports. Thankfully football's back this
yeah,
week, kind of back. But up to this point, we just got over at the MLB All-Star game.
hmm
That whole week in general is bleh. Like,
yeah,
no NBA, you have MLS suspending Messi, and that's about it.
yeah.
There's not much else going on. So, yeah, let's take a moment. Let's reminisce on a couple teams. And quite frankly, in my humble opinion, I think that's a good thing for the sport. If
Yeah.
we, look back, we just finished talking about how a lot of these, young and up and coming
Mhm.
professional athletes don't know guys like Tim Lincecum.
Yeah.
If we look back at the 2011 Mavs, you can hear a little bit more about Sean Marion and
Yeah.
his shooting form,
Yeah.
paired up with Dirk Nowitzki,
Yeah.
or we look at 2016 Cavaliers, maybe some people don't even know Kyrie was on that
No.
team. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's it's
Tristan Thompson before becoming a Kardashian, and getting into the news. Great role player. You know.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it there's some, parts of that team. Richard Jefferson was on that
hmm
team, right, as well.
Yeah.
So, it's important, at least we feel it's important to kind of look back on these things, and it
hmm
creates a bantering debate, hence
Yeah.
banter on the rocks. And it's important. And I did reference, certainly we wanted to pinpoint back to that Chris Paul signing
hmm
that we
Yeah.
you
We
know
talked about
we
it.
went over. We do talk current sports, don't get us
Yeah.
wrong, but this time of year,
Yeah.
hey, why not reminisce a bit,
Yeah.
right, John?
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And like I say, we were just sort of comparing what do we think was better, either or, we could have gone, what do we think was better? The 2016 Cavs run winning a championship or the 2020 Mickey Mouse championship that the Lakers won? Which one's better? I think everybody's going to say 2016. You know, that's my guess
Exactly.
right now. We could have a long debate about it. there's other fans that think, LeBron and Laker fans that really feel like that he did amazing stuff. Hey, and that's the debate. That's what sort of brings basketball back in is these debates, not talking about current news. And like I say, it's the early off season. There's nothing ever early off season with any sports. So if you want us to talk about Summer League, we're not going to talk about Summer League. That's not relevant at all because every team in Summer League, I think it's only like two to maybe three players are actually in the league. The rest are G League players. Why are we going to talk about the G League when that's a Mickey Mouse league? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, well said. That's
Yeah.
snooze fest.
Yeah.
It's rather watch minor league baseball.
Yeah.
It's at least a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's super valid. And then, even the first part of training camp
Yeah.
isn't all that interesting. It's pretty
Mhm.
cool to watch, players get back into it,
Yeah.
their arrivals, things like that. But it's not even like really padded practices yet.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it's once you
Yeah.
get in pads, it's a little bit more fun. But right now, it's
Yeah.
okay. You get a
Yeah.
few highlights here and there. You get, Jerry Jones saying
Hmm.
something crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, that's it.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And like I said, we'll talk some current NBA news now, just for this commenter to show that we still stay up to date.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
first things, and it's something that I saw today, Luka Doncic finally getting skinny. Think it's great for him. He's part of Men's
Yeah.
Health, the magazine. He is looking slimmer, so I'm excited to see what this Luka does. I'm excited to see how he makes a difference for the Lakers because we've said it here. Luka Doncic is the future of the Lakers, not LeBron. LeBron,
Hmm.
who knows what he's gonna do, but Luka losing the weight, it was the big talk for him the last 3 seasons, in Dallas. So seeing him get slimmer, get stronger, it could be very scary. The Lakers could be a scary team depending on what they do around him.
No doubt. Yeah. No, I saw a clip actually right before we jumped on here, and he looks in great shape. Did
Yeah,
like a full-on photo shoot, and I think in the
yeah,
gym.
yeah,
Props to him. That's
yeah.
great. But I feel like I've seen this before. I feel like he has gotten in off-season shape.
Uh-huh.
And maybe it's just that good American eating.
Hmm.
I'm sure he goes back home and then he gets back to the States and it's like, there's McDonald's, Taco Bell on the corner.
Hmm.
You have the Taco Bell, what is the Taco Bell KFC collab stores, two
Yeah.
in one. That's, risky
Yeah.
business.
Hmm.
Not saying he eats that,
Yeah.
but
It's a risk.
it's
It's
just,
it's here.
it, it's here.
Yeah.
It's available.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that's at least what I've seen,
Hmm.
and I think it's been brought up like, he gets into these modes where, he's thin, and then he joins back in the States and then he plumps up during the season. Let's
Yeah.
see if it happens though. Let's see if
Yeah.
he'll hold to it. Let's see if his, time on the Lakers, he's kind of has it out for Nico Harrison,
Yeah.
wanting to get back at him, and kind of get on a better track. But
Yeah.
props to him for at least getting into shape. I
Yeah.
know I need to. If you want to
Yeah.
drop any pointers, Luca, on what you're doing,
Yeah.
feel free. That'd be
Yeah.
great. It's
Yeah.
looking good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Chat GPT, chat Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
It's helping me out. I feel like I'm losing a few lbs, eating a little bit better, working out. I think I need to ask for the next updated version of my chat GPT workout because I feel like I'm like hitting that plateau where I've done everything and it's just light. I need to get intense.
Yeah.
That Luca
Hey,
workout.
there you go. Take it up a notch.
Yeah, I
And
I consider doing the little rock chat GPT we discussed, but that's
I was gonna say,
getting
yeah, you
into a
gonna
few different
dabble?
things.
Yeah.
Gotta go talk to
Take
those
a
doctors.
trip to the vitamin shop, right?
Yes.
Here, Stewie, try this. Yeah, what the hell are you do? Whoa! Oh my! Suddenly I'm full of energy. All right, fat man, let's do this. I look like a guy who's been hitting the gym.
It has nothing to do with the gym. You're on drugs.
Doesn't matter how you find the pot of gold, be to the Ryan. All that matters is that you beat the leprechauns.
That doesn't.
That vitamin shop.
Yeah, that vitamin shop. Get a few vitamin
Yeah.
injections.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, we'll see what happens. But the one thing also with this Luka thing, I think and this is me. If I was the owner of the Lakers, I ran the Lakers, I would have a nutritionist and I would pay for it for Luka if he's getting into shape. Whatever food he wants, we're gonna cater it to him during the season, you know,
Hmm.
because the goal is to keep him healthy and keep him, having those nutrients. Wherever he's going, we're gonna make you food. You're gonna have food. And, it's whatever you want. If you want a burger, we're gonna make you a healthier burger. Still gonna taste good, but we're gonna watch the calories. We'll give you the French fries, but sort of make them skinnier fries, different type of seasoning, and then a salad. But it's like, I think Luka could pay for it for himself, but if I was the Lakers and I was investing in him, I would do that.
Yeah, if you want a crunch wrap, get a vegan crunch
Oh
wrap,
yeah.
something like that. Keep
Yeah.
saying Taco Bell. I think I probably hates it. You know, just throwing it
So,
out there.
I think that's what Paul Pierce might have had a lot, after all those little runouts from his games. So Taco Bell
Yep,
does to you.
that's
Delicious,
true.
but it's dangerous.
Yeah, yeah, it can, it can take you out in different ways there. Um, yeah, I don't want to have an on the court incident,
Hmm.
but that's it's interesting. I think that's a great idea. I think you got to keep him happy,
Hmm.
get him his meals catered.
Hmm.
And another thing is too, if they, let's just say that they get a playoff series
Hmm.
win, they advance, don't take his beer away. Let
No.
him enjoy it.
Yeah.
That was a BS move by Michael Finley,
Yeah.
with the Mavericks at the time.
Hmm.
I thought that was so
Yeah.
dumb, such a jerk move,
It,
you
it's
know?
horrible. It's like don't be taking that beer away after celebrating after what we've done because getting to the
Yeah,
place that he got, not many players ever even touch that surface. Like so, let him enjoy a
exactly.
beer. Yeah, limit him if you feel like his weight's a little out of control, but let him enjoy a beer. The cold brewski whenever you're celebrating, amazing, and it just makes you happy.
Exactly. Yeah, let him have a little celebratory,
Yeah,
cerveza. I think that sounds good. But yeah,
yeah,
no, that was a BS move to take it away from him. I
yeah.
didn't like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then more current news to sort of help this commenter show that we're still talking.
Good.
Nikola Jokic, the Joker. Uh, I don't know if you've seen the videos. People have probably seen the
Oh
videos.
yeah,
This guy's
love it.
crying after his horse won a race in his home country. And when I saw it, I was like, it's amazing because I think it's an amazing accomplishment. But man, that guy didn't cry at all when he won the championship with the Denver Nuggets. But he won over a horse race. Like, what do you think it is, Tim?
Man, I think that's just where the passion
Hmm.
is with the horsies, over there. I think he's every off season when he just gets back into, the horse racing
Yeah.
competitions. It's a different view of Nikola that we just don't
Hmm.
see on the NBA court. On the NBA court, he's pretty monotone. He does absolutely incredible things we've never seen
Yeah.
before. Put up stat lines we've never witnessed. And his post game conference is like, I'm tired. I want to go. Into the locker room. He's just he's bored being so freaking dominant, and then he
Yeah.
goes back home. I love the side by side comparisons of the two, where he's celebrating, he's like popping a big champagne bottle, he's
Yeah.
spraying it, and he's patting up his horse, and he's really
Yeah.
proud of his horse. He hugs the rider, and then they go to him opening a champagne bottle after winning the NBA Finals, and it's just
He's
he
ready.
he
He's
did
ready
it
to
for
go
as a
back.
formality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, and then famously, didn't he have the post game conference of, he's like, oh yeah, it's time to go home, right?
Yeah.
And
And they're
he
like,
just
no.
decided to get out of there.
Yeah. But then they're like, nope, you got a parade to go to. He's like, you could tell he was just like, I don't want to do
Right.
that.
He's like, when's parade?
Yeah.
He's like trying to plan it out.
Yeah.
But hey, props to him. I'm glad
Hmm.
he's winning, on the court, but also off the court.
Yeah.
And it's important. Everybody needs to find, what their true passion is. Yeah, you
Hmm.
can be absolutely incredible at one certain thing. It can make
Hmm.
you zillions of dollars, but at least he's getting out there and still finding his true passion. I admire that. I think
Yeah.
that's freaking awesome. Um, and I'm just I haven't really watched, but when the horse racing with the what is it, like a chariot on the
Hmm.
back? it's just we don't have that as much in the States, I feel like. Maybe that's just an
It,
overseas thing.
there's a few in the States.
Okay.
There's all different types of horse racing. I think
Hmm.
that's more of a European on the other side of the U or of the world that you see it.
Sure.
But there is some. If you go to Las Vegas, you'll see some of that chariot racing. You'll see horse racing from Japan, from Europe. It's everywhere. So,
That's great.
it's still big. Like I said, a lot of people bet on it still. Horse racing is a big popular sport to bet on.
For sure. Yeah, no, makes sense. Maybe the it's less vigorous for the rider, right? The jockey. I feel
I
like
think
it's,
so.
you know,
Mhm.
the jockeys here obviously very small individuals. It's better
Yeah.
for riding, but I feel like you need to be pretty athletic to hang on to the
Hmm.
rider, the horse, be in shape
Control
that way you're
it.
not
Hmm.
in control it. But his jockey, I'm not coming after him for his age, but he looked a little bit older, right?
Hmm.
It may be more longevity to that sport as a
Yeah.
as a jockey over there with that. But
Yeah.
awesome. They were pumped. I
Yeah.
loved
They,
it.
they they were pumped, I think kudos to him. I think for him it's just his escape from the NBA life, because he comes from a foreign country and I think he enjoys where he's from. I think once the Joker retires, you'll never see him in the States again. I don't think he'll ever come back here. I think he's gonna stay, you know, in his home country, probably have a, stable full of horses that he's racing and enjoying life there. So, kudos to him. I really do think it's him, his escape from the NBA. I think it's just roots too, his culture, where he's from. And it's probably like you mentioned, it's his passion. He loves that.
Mhm. Yeah, clearly it's freaking awesome,
Hmm.
and he'll have a hell of a retirement
Hmm.
to, continuously buy horses and,
Yeah.
make quite the I don't know if they call it like a team, but quite the
Yeah.
team of
Yeah.
horses over there. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
passionate. Love it.
No. Yeah, he'll do well. But yeah, that's NBA news. Is this really gonna us talking about this really gonna get more people to watch NBA? I don't know.
It's bettering the sport, John.
It's better in the
It's
sports,
it's like we said, step aside, LeBron. Your flopping isn't what's ruining it.
Yeah.
It's our SGA going to the free throw line.
Yeah.
It's Banter on the Rocks talking
Yeah.
about, championship runs in the
Yeah.
last decade.
Talking about the past, about Michael Jordan still being the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God,
It's
glad we have
funny.
that poll, but it's
Yes.
great. Thanks for the commenter, though. I really
Yeah.
appreciate, you letting us know. Hopefully you did check out that Clippers video we pointed you
Hmm.
to, because that was a great one. It was fun to
Yeah.
talk about.
Oh, it was a good one. But yeah, but that's NBA talk. Next we'll sort of go into Comic Con, just a little discussion. Comic Con was this past weekend in San Diego. I know we've talked about it in the past before. We like watching movies, a lot of movies that get presented for the first time at Comic Con. One of the big things, I think we both saw videos of it. One of the best cosplays that I'll say I've seen in quite a while with Galactus. That Galactus
Yeah.
cosplay was killer.
It was freaking badass. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know we shared a couple of videos with each other on it.
Mhm.
It was just by far and away the best
Mhm.
costume I saw this past
Yeah.
weekend. There's some phenomenal costumes,
Yeah.
but I sent that message to you of,
Yeah.
just imagine showing up like with, let's just say, a face painted Galactus, and you're like all
Yeah.
pumped about it, and you're like, yeah, yeah, I'm Galactus.
Yeah.
You walk in and you see that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's just
It's
say you did that,
like,
John. Are you walking away, or are you like,
um,
photo?
I might do like that little Homer Simpson, go back into the bushes and then come out without a costume, just my regular street clothes. Like, yeah, no, I'm
Oh,
not
that's so good.
competing. Not competing against that.
Yeah, exactly. No, because that thing was badass. Like,
Yeah.
it took time. I don't know if you saw the video you might have sent it to me, of him putting on the costume.
No, I didn't
And
see that
like,
video.
okay, yeah, I'll try to find it and send it to you. But like, it was definitely in sets, and
Yeah.
he's on like stilts, and then they did the middle portion where they
Hmm.
slipped it over, and then the helmet going on. It
Yeah.
was just sick. And then the guy who was like there setting it up with him
Yeah.
was like straight up announcing it. Like, in his voice was like, "Here's Galactus,"
Yeah.
and he's like getting the crowd
That's
amped into it.
awesome.
And I'm like, "Damn, okay."
Yeah.
It was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had like a prop microphone too. I think maybe he was speaking for the character. It
Yeah,
was pretty
probably like a
badass.
voice changer type of microphone that with an app that sort
Sure.
of changes his voice to sound like Galactus.
Kind of like the Transformer thing at
Hmm.
Universal, something like
Yeah,
that.
almost like that.
Yeah. No, it was
No, yeah.
badass. Great
Yeah, no.
costume.
Great costume. Like I said, I think that's something I always enjoy watching Comic-Con clips. We haven't been to it. I think it's one of our one of our few bucket list
Definitely.
ideas that we want to go to events. Um, but a lot of great cosplay, a lot of great costumes based on, new characters, movies, even old ones. But this year, Comic-Con seemed to be a little quieter. I didn't see
Mhm.
many of the big movie studios share too much, not too many trailers. So it, but I still don't think it was a dud. I still think it was very successful from what I've seen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw a clip of they're doing some type of photo shoot in a parking lot outside
Mhm.
of the convention center there. And this guy was filming from his hotel room of the line. And he was like, all right, it
Oh,
starts here, goes this
yeah.
way. And then I saw some people commenting that they're waiting in line about an hour and a half from, start to finish.
Yeah.
And then they were told I think like, they had to halt the event in
Hmm.
that get back in line in 2 hours. And it's like, can you imagine waiting an hour and a half just to be told,
That's
get back in
insane.
line in 2 hours? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. But the line was crazy long. The
Hmm.
turnout looked, just as good as any other year. I saw one thing that stood out to me. I haven't watched the show. What is it? Is it the Rookie? The cop show based out
Hmm.
of
The
LA. It was
rookie.
a cop.
Yeah.
And then they did the cop song. Um,
Oh,
is that a
okay.
baton in your pocket?
Yeah.
Or are you
Oh,
just happy
really?
to see me? Yeah.
That's good.
And
Good.
he came out when the actor was doing his interview
Yeah.
in on one of the stages, and he started singing it, and he built it out. He's a great singer.
Hmm.
Crowd didn't get into it though. You gotta, if you like the Rookie, I don't even watch it, but I know that song pretty
Yeah.
well because it's kind of catchy and funny. So, that was pretty cool to see, but certainly no announcement like they had last year with Robert Downey
Hmm.
Jr. and
Yeah.
his big reveal. So, um, but seemed good overall. I saw a
Yeah.
funny like guy acting like he was the Acme
Yeah.
lawyer. I don't know if you saw that. That was pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I think they still had a lot of great things. Like I said, none of the big studios did big previews, big presentations. Saw quite a few horror stuff come out. The Stephen King movie that they're making,
Okay.
Aliens, or Predator Badlands. There was another horror movie one that came out. But yeah, like I said, there was a lot of,
Was
I
it
think,
Weapons? I don't
weapons.
know
I
if that's
think
right.
it might have
Okay.
that one
Yeah,
might have shown. But like I feel like the indie scene sort of won out this year at Comic Con, which I think it's great. Seeing all the booths, all the collectibles. I think it was AMC selling all their popcorn buckets there.
that was
They
sick. Yeah, I like
they
that.
that was pretty cool, something new. Because for some reason everybody wants to collect popcorn buckets now for movies. For all these movies that come out. So that was
Yeah.
awesome. But I think one thing that I've started seeing a little bit more about Comic Con and that I've enjoyed is not the convention itself, but all the activities that are happening at like the bars, the restaurants around there, the theming, some of the decorations. I think Peacemaker was at like, they had their presentation in Hall H, where John Cena came out in costume, but then they had another event out, at a bar somewhere. And James Gunn came out, and was sort of there, presenting, talking. So, and that reminds me sort of the South by Southwest, that 7 day event where it's just all of Austin, Texas, where
Yep.
everybody's just having things at theme bars with like certain movies, TV shows, music festivals, and I think that's something maybe Comic Con needs to sort of go to a little bit, making it a little longer than just 3 days and make it a fun event where people are going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely gets the outreach, the amount of people
Hmm.
attending that, I think that's a great idea to make it a little bit more expansive even to grow
Hmm.
it. Um, Yeah, it's cool when, like you said, bars, restaurants kind of get into it. It
Yeah.
expands it more, gets people, if you didn't get into the event itself, you get to at least enjoy,
Yeah.
a certain aspect of it, which is fun. Um, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I
Hmm.
think it's cool. Would love to attend though. I think it would be so much
Yeah.
fun just to, walk around, interview people, film it,
Yeah.
vlog style.
Yeah.
Ton of fun.
Cosplay some weird stuff. I don't think we'd be that great, but we still just have fun doing it.
Oh, we'd figure something just great, something
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the ideas would be endless.
Hmm.
Just like the lists we
Yes.
make on this show.
Yes,
That
for
was another
sure.
big thing.
Yeah.
Got plenty
But
of
yeah,
ideas.
that was Comic Con, something, like I say, big event this past week. So we always like talking about what's in the news, what's popular. Another thing I sort of wanted to bring up, I know we discussed it a little bit before the show, but reality TV. And I saw this post, looks real. Like I said, I looked into it. Seems like it's really going to happen, but it's a new show called Are You My First? And this is coming from the networks of Hulu and Disney Plus. But it's a reality show of 21 single virgins looking for love in paradise. And when I read that, I'm like, this is insane that they're making a show of virgins. And I was just like, what is reality TV just going to? Because it's like, it is crazy.
Right. Makes sense. Disney Plus would be in on this, I suppose. It's gonna be I don't even know if I want to call it PG. Reality shows could take a whole new level. Um,
They do.
but I guess, it's Bachelor in Paradise, but
Mhm.
just virgin.
Yeah.
It's it's and that's by choice, that's great. I think that's
Hmm.
phenomenal. Props to them. But I would love to this actually might be a reality show I'd be really interested in because I'd like to see the social aspect of it all and just how those conversations
Yeah.
go, meeting somebody, you know, if you want to begin dating, how does that, then incorporate into your
Yeah.
relationship? Are you waiting to marriage? I'm sure that's the
Hmm.
plan of a lot of folks with that show, but it could be a good concept. Let's see how it goes is of
Yeah.
course going to be, a big thing. Love Island. I didn't watch it, but I saw enough clips of it that it seemed to be the polar opposite, of what this could potentially be. But who's to say? And then it's always interesting when you have a bunch of different personalities just
Hmm.
coming together and
Yeah.
they've never met, and then let's see how it goes. Was there any other details regarding it, like maybe location or
No,
anything?
I haven't seen too much more about it, but like I say, I just saw it and I'm like, man, is reality just getting desperate to make the next big thing? Because like I say, Love Island has been
Yep.
around, but I feel like it blew up big this last year. Are You the One with Netflix that was been around, but the last 2 to 3 seasons have been like the big seasons that everybody's watching, having viewing parties. Is this going to
Love
be
is
one of
Blind
them?
was good at first, and then
Yeah.
it died out. I feel like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another one.
It's still one we watch though,
Sure.
That's the
Yeah.
funny thing. Like we'll still watch it, I think a lot of us. Um, but like with this one, I'm curious how it's gonna work because let's be honest, um, reality TV is pretty much scripted. I would say
Yeah.
80% of it's scripted. I looked into some of the stats. Some of the story arcs are scripted. The storylines that they create. The villain, the love triangle, things like that. Confessionals, setups. Those surprise dinners or just trips that happen. They do it for a reason. It's not just by coincidence. It's really producers making it happen. Um, and the only thing that, from what I read, that's really real are reactions, relationships, and settings. So the reactions to some of these set up, scripted stage ideas that the producers have, their reactions are pretty much real. So I'm curious how it's gonna look. I'm also curious how popular it'll be because Love Island, I with Vera, we watched the first episode and it was funny because everybody was talking about their looks. It was all about, how they looked, trying to find the next hot guy and find that relationship. How is this going to work with virgins? Like, how do you even know that they're actually like it's just these questions that I think about. Like, how do you really know that they're virgins? Like, are you checking physiology, doing stuff to sort of see that they actually are? You're just taking their word, and is it all going to be all these buff guys and women that are busty and fake real BBLs and stuff? Like, are
Yeah.
they actually virgins? Because like, if I see that, I'm like, I'm gonna call bullshit that you're actually a virgin if you're
You have like Deuce Bigelow showing up or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
It's like six
Oh
pack
man.
abs and looking like
Yeah.
a model, oh yeah, I'm an Abercrombie model. Bullshit, you're a
Yeah.
virgin. I'm calling
You're right.
cap.
Yeah, right.
Cap right
Yeah.
there. So I'm
Yeah.
curious. So like I say, I'll probably watch it at the start to sort of see how it looks because I'm expecting skinny people, glasses, not the best hair, like, but
Hmm.
I don't know. That's why it just caught my attention when I saw this.
Yeah. It's are we gonna see like strawberry daiquiri war, like who can drink it the fastest or something, get brain freeze? I don't know.
Maybe.
What's it gonna turn into? But
Yeah.
see, that's what sparks my curiosity with this is just the social aspect of it.
Hmm.
How does that come up in a conversation?
Yeah.
Um, you know prior experiences,
Hmm.
what's leading you to follow this. I don't know if you want to call it a lifestyle, this choice.
Yeah.
I think it sparks some interest because other reality shows are typically the polar opposite. Like, can't
Yeah.
get people off of each other, and it turns into that. But with a lot of these reality shows, I think that there needs to be a point where they just need to realize they won't be as good as Jersey Shore was
No.
for a few of those seasons.
No.
That was by far and away I would binge the hell out of it and then watch it again.
Hmm.
That show is just so good.
Not funny.
I don't want to be put in that position where I have to snitch on somebody because I just stay out of it. It's not my business. It was his prank. I didn't do anything. If you want to be mad at me, you can, but there's no reason to.
I just heard that you guys are mad at me, but I ain't doing thing.
Paulie!
So I'm mad at you for being mad at me for no reason. So try and talk to me, I'm mad. Pissed. I want to know, when did you realize you...
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the first two, maybe three seasons. The first one
Miami
in
was good as well.
Miami.
I
I
like
was about to say
up
the
to
the first.
Miami.
Yeah.
I think
The
was
th
good.
yeah, the third one I think was okay because I think that's when like Snooki got arrested. But the
Okay.
first
Yep.
season of Jersey Shore, that was I think that was like the first reality TV that wasn't scripted. And then I think
Yeah.
it's once I got to like season three, it was like those storylines. How do we make it interesting? How do we just pump a bunch of alcohol into them to do the craziest stuff? Um, but yeah, I think that first season of Jersey Shore, nobody's ever gonna match that, no matter how much you try to do Love Island with giving them the worst food and getting them as drunk as they can. Jersey Shore is just all time.
Yeah, just the grainy footage you get at
Hey,
times, the vlog style back in the day.
yeah.
It's so good. And then you have the dark phone, the
Hmm.
quotable, lines they had, like Cab's
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
It's just so good. What a show.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't try to, they won't ever get to that level,
No. No,
my
I think
opinion.
there's a lot of people trying to do it. I think they did like the Florida shores, like from like that Florida, Alabama
Yeah,
area.
didn't watch it.
Yeah,
I
the one in
Some clips.
Italy. I think all these other countries tried to do it, but like I say, by that time everything was scripted because you were looking for the drama, which you could tell when the drama's a little unnatural that it's sort of like created instead of it coming naturally.
Sure.
Where, like I said, the first two seasons of Jersey Shore, all that drama was real. You know, I want to
Yep.
say that Italy season was also not scripted, but I think it was pretty scripted. But some of their actions, Mike hitting his head, in that fight, and
Right.
then having the brace around his neck.
have a big heart, you know? And if somebody else was hurt in the house, like me, I would be checking on them. But nobody was really checking on me really that much, you know what I mean? So I kind of felt alienated a little bit.
Classic. Still great scene.
Yeah. And that's where the if she orders off the kids menu, she's too young for you or something, something like that.
Yeah.
It's that's where those lines started up, and I thought
Yeah.
that was iconic. Italy was a good season in my opinion too.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch The Real World?
hmm
You ever
I,
get
I
into
I
that
watched
show?
a lot of the Real World. I watched Road Rules, and like I said,
Okay, sure.
that's just showing my age because I don't think
Yeah,
many people know what Road Rules
we're
was.
dating ourselves.
You know,
Yeah,
when like Theo
getting
Vaughn
back there.
was on Road Rules, a lot of
Yeah,
those guys because Theo Vaughn was part of all that.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Theo Vaughn was part of the
God,
challenge when it first started. He was
too
in that
funny.
show. So
Perfect fit.
it's like, I watched a lot of that. And like I say, I think up to Hawaii was a good season. That was drama. New York. But then I forget what season. I think it might have
Cancun
been
was a good one.
Cancun, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Um, I forget where I sort of stopped watching it. Because eventually it got to a point where it's like, I think it was like in Portland or somewhere where it was like there was the people living in the house and then all of a sudden they bring in their exes to live in the house or something like that just to cause drama. And I'm like, that's just so unnatural. Like, why are you bringing this
Yeah.
X factor that we know is already going to cause drama where just let it come naturally like it did before?
I think you're exactly right. I think it was like Portland or something like that.
Yeah.
Even that destination wasn't all that good. You go from a place like Cancun,
Yeah.
and then you jump into Portland.
Yeah.
No, hey, shut up, Portland. My bad.
Yeah.
Just, for that type of show though, it's like,
hmm
you want to be somewhere more tropical or lively, probably.
Yeah.
But um, wasn't the Miz on there? Isn't that where he got famous? Yeah.
Yeah. The Miz was on it. He in New York? I think he
I
might have
think
been
that's right.
either like Brooklyn or New York, one of those. Yeah, and then he did the challenge, I think 1 or 2 years, and then he went into that WWE reality show that MTV had I forget what it was called, but like they're creating a superstar, so that's how he became a
Yeah.
WWE
Yep.
star. So I think
Yep.
he's probably the biggest or I don't know. I think I'd put maybe Theo Vaughn above him now. Theo Vaughn has made a big jump with what he's done in his career with his podcast, popular podcast. I was listening to today, just side note and tangent. He had the creator of OpenAI, so the guy that created ChatGPT, and they were talking about it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's like I say, he what I like about Theo Vaughn, and like I said, it's if you guys want to consider it a plug to watch, listen to him. Um, he when he has some serious people, he asks a lot of great questions, but then he always throws comedy into it, which I really appreciate about it and love. And I think it's sort
Yep.
of what we like and what we sort of try to do. Like we do a lot of serious talk and we'll research, look into things, talk about it, but we always like to throw in our little jokes, with like Armando, would you let Jesus take the wheel?
Yeah,
With
right.
AI.
We did it and it's always good when it's kind of unexpected at times.
Yeah.
Obviously, after a while people understand what Theo Von's about
hmm
and the comedy that he brings.
Yeah.
And then people will catch on to us as we have guests on, later
Yeah.
on this show. But that's just, it spices things up. I think it's fun,
hmm
always reminiscing back to, Rob on, we could talk about how
Yeah.
serious of a subject UFOs are getting to
Yeah.
be, but here we are, I'm wearing a wig, you're wearing a tinfoil hat,
Yeah.
it's always good to mix it in. And, it could be a page out of guys like, Theo Von doing stuff like
hmm
that.
Yeah.
That's, it's fun and it makes it lively.
Yeah.
But his show is, he makes some comedians cry of laughter, which
Yeah.
always kind of seems hard to do at times. So if
Yeah.
he's doing that, he's doing good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would consider maybe Theo Vaughn the biggest star from that franchise of Real World, then probably The Miz. And then Jamie Chung, I think, is the next big one because she is a movie star. She's done a lot of movies.
Mhm.
Then after that, a lot of people are just challenge mania people.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, no, I agree. That list makes sense. Makes sense. But yeah, funny to reminisce on some of those reality shows and
yeah,
how far they got and the
yeah,
crazy incidences and how overblown they make it after a while where,
yeah,
like you said, it becomes really scripted. So,
yeah,
hopefully this isn't it with
yeah,
this, this upcoming show.
yeah.
And it's just more like have at it. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
I hope so. So I'm curious to see it. I think it comes out like mid-August, so I'm excited to see it when
Great.
it comes
Almost
out.
there.
So we'll see. But yeah, that's a little bit of reality TV. Next we'll go into some UFO talk, and I know Tim was going to intro this, sort of talk about what he's seen and just a little discussion.
Yes. So, um, on this topic, big news. I feel like maybe it's just big news with my feed here. Maybe I'm late to the cause a little bit. But we have talked about this interstellar object um, that was discovered on July 1st, 31 dash Atlas, I guess is what they're naming it. And it was an observation made from the Atlas telescope in Chile. And it's moving, at 140,000 miles per hour, which is just an outrageously fast speed, stuff that we can't really, I guess, fathom here on Earth. But the
Mhm.
big news over this weekend was um, a post made by the New York Post, and it was titled "Rare Interstellar Object the Size of Manhattan Could Be an Alien Probe." According to Harvard scientists. And if you have Harvard scientists saying it, maybe
Yeah.
some of them, it could be conspiracy theorists like the rest of us,
Yeah.
or, you put some intelligence behind there and, it really gets you thinking. So, I guess Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, sorry
Mhm.
if I'm butchering your name there, Avi, suggested in a new paper that the object, only the third interstellar object ever detected, could be an intelligently directed alien craft observing Earth with possibly hostile intentions. And the hostile is something that's very eye-opening.
Yeah.
The hypothesis is that it is a technological artifact and furthermore has active intelligence. I guess some folks are kind of saying, obviously, it's kind of tough to get a good read on like the
Hmm.
visuals of this. I guess so
Yeah.
far they're kind of labeling it as like a disc shaped rock in a
Yeah.
way, kind of flat, but they're saying it's the size of Mount Everest. Like it's a massive
That's
rock
big.
and it's huge. And they're saying, some people are saying that there's a tower built on it and like they're saying it almost looks like a building on top of the rock, and that's why I think either people are saying are like either occupying the rock
Hmm.
and watching it fly across,
Yeah.
or it's like a spy satellite that they're sending through
Okay.
and just kind of spying on things in this galaxy to see what's going on with Earth,
Yeah.
how we're or if maybe they don't know we're even here and they're just looking
Yeah.
for intelligent life. Now I guess a freakier aspect to it was when it goes behind the sun's radius of us,
Hmm.
they're saying if it slows down, we're fucked, I
Yeah.
guess, is
Yeah.
what they're saying. Because then it's like, okay, they have brakes on this thing,
Yeah.
you know? So,
We talked about that. When was it? What was
yeah,
it? This same thing that was passing? Because the last
the
thing we
same
talked.
thing.
Okay, so I know last time we sort of said it was an asteroid or something that was just getting the closest
Yep.
asteroid coming to us, and we were like, "Is it an asteroid? Is it an alien?" Because it looked like that disc-shaped thing, and we were like, "If this thing
Hmm.
just slows down or just stops, we're screwed." You know,
Absolutely.
it's sort of just like taking the brakes. It goes that e brake, and it's like, nope, we're stopping here. It's like, yeah, we're in for a rude awakening.
Absolutely. Yeah, because then it has some type of controls behind it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's another point to this, Sean, is I thought it was really funny because we literally just randomly conspiracized. Was like, oh, what if this is like a spy
Uh-huh.
craft, and then here we are with, I guess, a Harvard
Confirmation.
astrophysicist, backing this up, and they're saying, obvious saying one of the most puzzling observations is the object has significant non-gravitational acceleration while having now cometary outgassing. Not too sure what that means,
Hmm.
but it seems to think like Avi is acting like there's a controlled speed behind this, even with how fast it's moving.
Hmm.
Um, so they're saying come late October, November-ish is the time to pay attention, to see, what's
What
behind this,
happened?
because at that point it's when it's going to be closest to the sun. And the sun, obviously a big blockade. Maybe
Hmm.
that's a good opportune time for it to change direction.
Yeah.
And let's see what route it goes. But evidently we're supposed to be at a far rotation in comparison to its path. I think it's going to get
Okay.
pretty close to where are they saying it's going to
Mars, I
get
think.
close to? Mars, I believe
Hmm.
Jupiter, maybe
Hmm.
one of them. Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. Um, they're going to be
Hmm.
very close. Don't think there's any impact issues with it. But it's just, again, it brings up the
Hmm.
theory of, are we going to be seeing something that, just, I
Hmm.
don't know. I just, what an out of body experience that would be to see this thing like
Yeah.
come to a halt.
It, like I say, it would make news, and I think we would all be excited. I would say that it makes hope because it means that there are actually aliens out there with all of us, conspiracy theorists that were like, the real, But then, like I said, it's also, is that good news? Is that bad news? Because if they're hostile, it's what was it? War of the World, what's it? Battle for LA, that movie, you know.
Yep.
It's like living in those big cities might be a bad thing, where it it's insane, but like I said, being able to see it actually would be awesome. A good
Be crazy.
experience, but I'd be freaking out.
Oh yeah. No, I'd be scared shitless. It'd be like, holy
Yeah.
crap. Um, but it's in our little AI scenario, John, that
Mhm.
was October.
But
That was
that
October.
was what.
Year was wrong.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, but like, how about this is not, this is like a first round, because like I said, this is the first time we've seen this come around. So will they stop on the first trip here where they're gonna take pictures, sort of analyze the planet? I pulled up the New York Post and it sort of, I saw this where Lowe further suggests that the Tilton pathway would allow the intelligent life on the object to gather astrometric measurements and determine the orbits and masses of the solar system planets, allowing it to prepare an optimal approach strategy to the solar system. So this is like their first, research, and it's like they're gonna do another
Mhm.
loop, two, three loops, and maybe every year they're gonna get closer and closer. And then in October, and what was it, 26, 27, or what was it that AI told
Um,
us? Or no, it was quite a
uh, it was like, yeah, I
20,
think it was
29,
2027.
27, 20, yeah, something like that. So it's like
Pretty sure.
there's still a few years from, hey, they could stop on that day and then come and say, what's up?
Hey, yeah, shout us out.
Hmm.
That'd be crazy though.
Yeah.
And obviously you can go down a zillion different rabbit holes with this theory,
Hmm.
but part of what I asked AI in that kind of scenario, or at least part of that texting chain, was could these alien life forms already be here?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a big question for many of us is like,
Mhm.
what if they're here? What if those aliens that are currently residing on Earth, what if this object is looking for them
Yeah.
and then try to pinpoint exactly where they are?
Hmm.
It could be a
Get
zillion
get
different
data
things.
from them, from what they've learned from our
Spies.
planet, spies, you
Yep.
know. It's it's
Gosh.
a freaky thing, and it's crazy because I wasn't sure if this was that same one we talked about a while ago or different, but it seems like it's the same thing that we were discussing a while ago, and this is exactly what we said that what this, I'm not trying to discredit this Harvard scientist, but it's like he's backing up what we were just hypothesizing. of what we thought this object was.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like we need to hop in Avi's DMs if he's on the socials,
Yes.
and let's try to get him on Banter and kind of
Yeah.
discuss this a little bit further. He might freak us out though a little
He
bit,
might.
which is great content. But but I just thought that was so interesting, and it's like he's a Harvard astrophysicist, but lives within the brains of like us, thinking
Yeah.
about like these wild possibilities.
Yeah. It's insane, but like I said, crazy to hear that because, like I say, when I think about it, this guy looks normal. I just looked him up, Avi Lowe. He doesn't look too scary, but once he talks, he's probably gonna freak me the F out.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Department of Astronomy from Harvard.
it's
Well,
crazy.
looks like a normal man, but still.
No crazy hair, huh?
No, no crazy hair. I still may have to wear my tinfoil hat for that. If he would decide to come on and talk to us a little bit more about this, I would have to wear a
Yeah,
tinfoil hat because who knows what he's gonna talk about.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's going to be dropping some crazy knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to bring out the suit and wig for that as well. Definitely going to let him know we're not making a mockery of the
No.
situation, but that we're just avid supporters in different ways. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And then crazy to see the Harvard backing with this.
Yeah. With that, it's crazy. Let's hope it's not true because, like I say, that's you could call that his banter take. Um,
Yeah, right.
And let's hope this one isn't one that comes true fully of it being hostile. Maybe it's more of a friendly encounter, but
Sure.
hey,
Could be helpful.
this is what he's rolling with.
It's what he's rolling with.
Yeah,
In just to say, from what I guess read in a different article,
yeah,
he's known to kind of put out, some of these takes.
mhm,
I think that there was another one back in 2018, kind of a similar
okay,
hypothesis. Eventually he's going to get it right.
yeah,
It's just one,
yeah.
we,
That's all
we
you
could
need.
say, somebody could have said Cubs will win the World Series, Red Sox will win the World Series for about 100 years, and then eventually they'll get it right.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
we could do that too. Just like have them on
yeah.
every year until it's right.
Until it's right, we can.
It's so good. Avi's
But
back. It's 2032.
2032, what's the take this year? And
Yeah.
like I said, you never know. It's just that one day it comes true.
He's like,
Um,
is that comet that hit the moon? Is that,
yeah,
did that have life on it? It's just
yeah.
a gentle landing.
I'm looking at all he's done a lot of news reports, a lot of videos.
Hmm.
So he
It's
has
good
everything.
stuff by Avi. I
Yeah.
think he's any alien conspiracy
Hmm.
theorist dream physicist, his backing of it. Um, it's
Yeah.
good stuff by Avi.
Yeah. He had one about the New Jersey drones. We talked about that when they came out, what they were, military,
Hmm.
not military. Um, he's talked about AI.
Nice.
I'm just going through some of his topics. I haven't
This
looked
is
at the
great.
videos. The mass of light, nature of dark energy. That's probably like an Armando subject right there.
Yeah. Nature of dark energy.
Yeah. Advice to Gen Z. That's awesome. I'd probably want to listen to that one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I just figured out what the Gen Z stare was.
Oh yeah, what is it?
They just kind of like look at you
Yeah.
like that. They're just kind of like staring.
Really?
It's kind of like,
That's all they
yeah, there's emotionless, just
it sounds
staring.
accurate.
Yeah. You
Uh,
know what's funny? So I don't know. I didn't watch Cops a whole lot, but my TikTok is just filled with like cops chasing people or,
Yeah.
pulling somebody over and going through. I don't know why. I just watch them in full length a
Yeah.
lot of times, and I just find it interesting. But there's this one scenario where these cops pull up and they're talking to this girl, and this girl is acting as a liaison to people that set up camp in somebody's front yard.
Okay.
And obviously, homeowners wanted them off the front yard, and she was trying to be an interpreter for them to the police. But I don't think it was like any language barrier. I just think she
Yeah.
was trying to help them, help those folks out. But the cops asked him to stay away, or her to kind of back away from the situation because it didn't really apply to her. But long story short, she stared at the cops into the body
Hmm.
cam, and she just had that blank Gen Z stare. And everybody in the comments was like, "Oh, if you go to 15 seconds." That's exactly what the Gen Z stare is, if you don't know. Everybody's just highlighting it. I'm like, there it is.
That
Got
makes
it.
sense. Okay. Okay.
Excellent.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
figured out that. Yeah, fun fact.
Yeah. But yeah, Avi's a very interesting man. If he gets to listen to this part of our show, you don't have to listen to everything, Avi, because I don't know if you're into sports, reality TV, Comic Con, but this UFO talk, we're always interested. If you're ever interested in checking in, talking a little bit more about it, letting us know your
Yeah,
thoughts, that would
we
be
could talk
great.
Harvard athletics with him.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, why not? Yeah, yeah, no, he's oh yeah, here we go. Avi. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting guy, like I say.
63. Yeah. No, pretty cool. Didn't Bill Gates go to Harvard briefly before
I
dropping out?
I'm not sure where he went exactly.
Because I feel like they're similar in age. Maybe he could like give a Bill Gates story or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Maybe.
He's 63. How old is Bill Gates? Bill Gates 69 now. They were different time frames. But yeah, he
Yeah.
did go to Harvard as well, Bill Gates, but he
Okay.
dropped out. Kind of like Zuckerberg. Um, uh, Reddit has some good stuff on him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a
Mm,
lot of good stuff on him. So, yeah, I might look into it. He has a few books too, so hey, maybe the books would be an interesting read too.
extraterrestrial. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
wow, he's an author too. Look at this guy.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, that's UFO. Like I said, let us know your guys' takes on UFOs, what you guys think, real, not real. Like I say, a lot of us have different takes about it, thoughts about UFOs. We'll try to bring Rob, maybe Bondo back in. I know they have their takes, their thoughts on it. But always a fun subject, scary subject though as well.
For sure, especially if it's hostile. Let's wait till October, November, see if this
Yeah,
thing has some good breaks.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It slows down.
That'd be
Um,
crazy.
it would be. But yeah, but that's the show. Anything else, Tim, that you have that's in the news?
Um,
Wasn't much more that I had for this week.
no, I think that was it. Yeah, just the UFO stuff continues. I
Hmm.
feel like we get a good glimpse of that every few weeks. I know we
Yeah,
talk about it quite a bit here on the pod, but it's something that's stayed relevant.
it is.
Oh, do we have a Fantastic Four update? Did it get over 200 million?
I can tell you, I do have that.
I know it did well. I know it did well,
It
but
did
I don't think it
well.
did like
Um,
Superman well.
from the website that I got everything for all of these other movies, I
Hmm.
looked it up and it made 117 million.
Oh,
So your final total was 266 million. So you were 41 million away from overtaking me. So
hey, that was a lot closer than I thought, though.
yeah,
I will say that.
like I told you, it was gonna get close. It could have surpassed. Um, like I say, what might have hurt it a bit, I will say maybe Comic-Con coming out when all the people that might want to watch it are busy out cosplaying, enjoying those events, not being able
You
to go
knew it
watch
all
it.
along, huh? Even though I'm the one who
Uh,
chose that first.
well,
Yeah.
I just thought about that right now,
Heard
honestly.
myself.
Like
Yeah, no.
I said,
No, it's a great point. That's a
it
great
could
point.
it could be a reason, you
Yeah.
know, could have
Uh,
gotten you a little closer.
Yeah, true. No, great point. Was Superman most grossing film? Biggest
Out of
grossing?
all the movies, yeah, 125. So,
Oh wow,
and like I
fantastic. Four
said,
was pretty close.
this is just domestic. I think if we look at it worldwide, it might be a little different. Let me see. Weekend chart.
Let's be honest though, John. I think it's Elio's fault.
Elio
Pixar
hurt
bust.
you 20 million because like I say, everything else
Brutal.
you were on par. Like I said, Elio made 20 where I had F1 made 57, so that's a
Yeah.
$30 million difference. Like I said,
Yep.
Jurassic beat How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
Ballerina outshine Megan by 15 million. But then I think the other one, Materialist, that one hurt you where 28 years made 30 mil. Materialist made 12 mil.
Yep.
So it
In
was,
Materialist, that was, we talked about it. Trailer delusion.
yeah.
Pretty funny. It had a few good moments, but
Yeah. Yeah. But overall, yeah, I can't find the overall like worldwide too for Fantastic Four, but I think worldwide it did make a lot more money. Fantastic Four did. I
yeah.
think
Okay.
total with the worldwide, I think they might have been close to like 200, I heard.
Oh wow,
Um,
pretty cool. Nice.
let's say fantastic.
Well, Jurassic Park did worldwide tours as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they were in Japan, hyping up the
Yeah.
film, if I'm not mistaken. So,
So Fantastic Four grossed 218 million worldwide.
wow.
So 100 more million
What
worldwide.
was Superman worldwide? Sorry, I'm kind of sending you
What was
down
it?
this research rabbit hole here. But
Superman.
Superman, I feel like would do well. I think that was, quite the film for James Gunn going to DC.
Let's see. Well, this gives me the third week, and I'd have to look back a little bit. That was what, 3 weeks ago?
I think so. Yeah.
So recently, Superman hit 500 million worldwide, but that's after 3 weeks
Holy
of
smokes.
release.
That's phenomenal,
Uh,
though. Holy smokes. That probably doubled up what the cost of production was, right?
yeah, I think that one report I saw, I think that they need to get over 700 million.
Okay. Still a ways from that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it only really shows me domestic. It doesn't really give me the worldwide for
It's okay.
Superman,
I'm
but
sure it was a great number. I mean,
I'm guessing it's probably close to that 200. It has to be in that 200 million. Um, it's just how much.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. No, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, good set of I'll wear my L. That was a great game
Like I
overall.
said,
But yeah, the movie guru here on the show defeated,
I
the
got it this
average
year.
Joe.
Like I say, it was close.
It was
Like I said,
close.
next year, that number one pick we are. I think we all know what it's gonna have to be.
Oh,
You know.
yeah, Odyssey is going to be such a 1-1.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's gonna be the CMC of fantasy football and how that run was. It's
It
gonna be
is.
ridiculous.
It is. But yeah, but that's this week. I think that's one of the sports things we'll be bringing. Maybe we'll start with it next week is fantasy football talk. We'll go over positional
Oh
rankings,
yeah.
and we'll do our positional rankings. This is based off what we feel. I'll tell you right now, we are last year's champs. We co-ran a team.
Yep.
Tim's a one-time champ. I am a five-time champ in our league. So means I
There it
know something
is.
about football. So all of you guys saying that I don't know my sports, just suck it because you guys probably haven't even won 5 times, you know,
Nailed it.
against a
That's right.
competitive league. So, um, we'll talk some fantasy football ranking because I think it's us. We got to start getting into the nitty gritty of that sport.
For sure. Yeah, and we'll do rankings for this season. We won't do rankings for last season,
Yeah.
just to be clear as well.
Yes.
It's bad for the sport, John. Can't
It
do
is
it.
bad. We can't talk about the
Yeah.
past anymore.
No.
Um, but yeah, but that's our show. As always, we're building something here. You know, Banter on the Rocks. We had our little post about what our show is about because it seems like some of the viewers, some of the commenters don't really understand what our satire show is about. It's about bantering. You know, we talk a
Hmm.
lot of facts. We do share a lot of great information, but every now and then we're just here to mess with you because we enjoy it and you guys we enjoy living rent free in some of your guys' head. So real talk, good laughs, unfiltered takes. So join by subscribing, hitting that subscribe for our YouTube channel, our Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And as always, you know, drop those comments. We enjoy the banter, we enjoy chit chatting, and like I say, our banter is always friendly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It just know it comes from a good place. It's great that in life we can argue about things like sports or
Mhm.
banter about sports. There's bigger things to life, but it is fun to go back and forth, and everybody
Mhm.
has a right to an opinion. It's always fun to kind of view, that type of, opinion and different
Yes.
conversations. So we appreciate all you guys. Thank you
Hmm.
so much.
Yes.
It's fun.
Thank you. Everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.